Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Today we're going to be covering some brand new Melffy support that's come out of Power of the Elements, the brand new booster pack. Melffy Wallaby is an Earth Attribute Beast type effect monster, level 2 with 0 attack and 400 defense. You can only use the first and second effects of this card's name each once per turn. One, if your opponent normal or special summons a monster, or when this card is targeted for an attack, you can return this card to the hand, then you can special summon 2 Melffy monsters with different names from each other from your deck, except Melffy Wallaby. 2, during your end phase, you can special summon this card from your hand. I personally don't like the Melffys just because the archetype is very annoying to deal with. I can understand from this point this is a very powerful effect. To use its first effect just when your opponent normals or special summons a monster or when they declare an attack, just by returning this card you're able to summon 2 Melffy monsters with no other conditions from the deck. They're not from the hand, and since they're from the deck it gives you that additional advantage. Bear in mind as well, during the end phase you could just straight away special summon this card back to the field. This means at no point are you in a position where you don't at least have 1 or 2 Melffy monsters on your field to defend your life points or to mess around with your opponent's turn. Melffy Sealy is a water attribute beast type tuner effect monster. It's level 2 with 300 attack and 100 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. 1, if a face-up beast monster you control other than Melffy Seal was returned to the hand this turn. As a quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, then immediately after this effect resolves, you can synchro summon using only Melffy monsters in your hand and this card as material. 2, during your end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 Beast Xyz monster you control, attach this card to it as material. This again is quite interesting. As far as I'm aware, the Melffy monsters previously only had support in the forms of Xyz monsters, as well as their normal level 2 monster support. This is the first time they've actually introduced a tuner monster, and therefore there'll also be a synchro monster we'll discuss later. In terms of the first effect, you're just instantly able to special summon this monster when one of your other Melffy monsters returns to the hand. This is a constant effect that they like to use, so it's not going to be difficult for you to achieve this. Bear in mind, when you do this, you're actually using the cards in your hand to help you synchro summon alongside this. That means you don't have to run specific special summoning support. The other part of the effect, the second part, just helps to reattach materials to your Xyz monsters if they've already used those effects. Cheerful Melffys is an Earth Attribute Beast type synchro monster. It's a level 4 with 1500 attack and 1000 defense. It requires 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. 1, if this card is special summoned, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field, return it to the hand. 2, if your opponent normal or special summons a monster, or when this card is targeted for an attack, you can return this card to the extra deck, then you can special summon 1 Melffy Xyz monster from your extra deck. This is a very annoying card to deal with, like all the other Melffy monsters. It happens to be when you can return other cards to the hand. It's like having monster versions of compulsory evacuation device. It's very disruptive, and if you're trying to get your combos off and you've used your normal summon or some of your special summons and you're limited to what you can do, this can really throw you off your game. Secondary effect just lets you tag out this card for 1 of your Xyz monsters. Depending on your situation, maybe the Xyz monster is better. The only concern I have is that it leaves your Xyz monster with no materials. It would have been better if this had just been able to be ranked into, so as just to use this as a additional Xyz material, but I suppose we can't get everything. And the final card is Melffy Staring Contest. This is a continuous spell card. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. 1, you can reveal 1 beast monster in your hand, add 1 Melffy monster with a different name from your deck or graveyard to the hand, and if you do, place the revealed monster on the bottom of the deck. 2, at the start of your opponent's battle phase, you can reveal any number of Melffy monsters in your hand and keep them revealed during the battle phase. And 3, monsters your opponent controls lose attack equals to combined attack and defense of all monsters being revealed by this card's second effect. One of the biggest disadvantages that Melffy monsters have are because they're level 2, most of them won't go over the 1500 limit in terms of attack, so they have to benefit from their own boosting cards as well as being able to disrupt your opponent from actually getting into their strongest monsters. The first effect simply lets you trade a beast monster for a Melffy monster, and because it's a beast, it can be run with some of the other monsters. So you have Ponpoko is an example, you've got some of these other mini beast type monsters that are also level 2, and by substituting between the two, you're able to get exactly what you need. It does come at the disadvantage that the other monster does have to go to the bottom of the deck, but you'll be continually cycling through your cards. You'll mostly see those those monsters again very quickly, and your deck is constantly being shuffled at the same time. Secondary effect just helps to boost the third effect by revealing any of your Melffy monsters in your hand. The more you have in the hand, the more of a benefit you have from the third effect. And the third effect lets you almost shut down your opponent's attack points. If they don't have anything that is unaffected by monster effects, they will lose potentially all of their attack points and become as good as 0 attack points. This would work very well with cards such as Battle Mania or Staunch Defender, which force your opponent to attack during the turn. There are probably some monsters that have this similar style of effect, but I would guarantee those are probably the most common examples that I can think to hand. If you know any others, put those in the comments down below. Overall, I think this is quite good for the archetype. I'm going to kind of stick away from giving my personal opinion because I've faced Melffys before and I find them very annoying. But definitely, I would check this support out because it's definitely something they need. It helps to boost the deck, and I wouldn't say no to that. It would be interesting to see if they get any further support in Power of the Elements, or whether this might be it for them. Either way, definitely put your comments down below, and I'm going to have another video up here to check at the end screen to cover some more of the Melffy monsters.